Is time travel possible? Well, according to physicists, yes. Time travel to the future is not only possible, it's been scientifically proven.
Time doesn't always move in a straight line. At least, that's what these strange stories suggest. From people who appeared out of nowhere to others who seemed to know the future long before it happened, these cases push the limits of what we think is possible. These 10 mysterious time traveler stories will leave you wondering if the past, present, and future are far more connected than we realize. The Florida shed that aged a man overnight. In April 2024, a TikTok went viral where an Airbnb host named Alex Schall watched something on his backyard camera that would change his life forever. A young man had arrived late in the evening and asked if he could use the old wooden shed behind the house to store his backpack. Alex agreed. Minutes later, the camera recorded the man walking inside. The door closed, and that was it. He never came out. Alex waited, confused. Hours passed. The shed remained silent. By morning, he felt something was wrong. The police arrived and inspected the structure. They found no windows, no vents, no cracks wide enough for a mouse. The only door was locked from the inside. It made no sense at all. Then, as officers prepared to break in, the door creaked open. A man stepped out. His shoulders, his height, his face shape were almost the same, but he looked decades older. His hair was grey, his skin sagged, his eyes carried the tired look of someone who had lived an entire lifetime in a single night. Even stranger, the glasses he wore were a style common in the 1980s, the kind of frame no modern store sold anymore. Yet he insisted they belonged to him. When asked where he had been, the older man gave confused answers. He said he felt time bend around him. He said he walked into a place where the sun rose differently and days felt like long stretches of silence. He said he lived years there, though only one night passed outside. Scientists later whispered about time-slip locations. Others claimed the shed stood on a ley line. Some pointed to magnetic anomalies. The man's backpack never turned up, fueling rumors it contained forbidden time equipment. Then comes another surprising story: the vanishing boy and the Minnesota time portal. It was the summer of 1912, the kind of warm, golden afternoon when kids rushed to the lake without a care in the world. 15-year-old Thomas Johnson was laughing with his friends, splashing water and skipping stones, when everything changed. The calm surface of the Minnesota lake began to spin, slowly at first, then faster, like something was pulling the water from beneath. His friends froze as the wind suddenly turned sharp and cold. The air itself seemed to twist. A strange glow rose from the center of the whirlpool, and before anyone could shout his name, Thomas was gone. Search teams spent weeks combing the lake. His family waited every night with a lantern burning on their porch. But Thomas had vanished without a trace. No body, no clues. Just the haunting memory of that spinning water burned into the minds of the boys who watched him disappear. 58 years passed. Seasons changed. Families grew older. The world moved on. Then, in 1970, a barefoot teenage boy walked out of the trees near the same lake. His clothes were old-fashioned and worn. His face was young, untouched by time. A scar on his eyebrow matched the one Thomas had gotten from falling off a bike when he was 10. He said his name was Thomas Johnson. He said he remembered a flash of blinding light and a deep humming sound. Then he woke in a world he could not understand. He spoke of roads filled with flying cars and strange glowing towers. He said time felt thin there, like a curtain that anyone could slip through if they found the right tear. Years later, Thomas stood at the edge of the lake again, staring at the water that had stolen him. The wind moved gently, but in his chest, the moment felt as sharp as the day it happened. After this, we have the accident that pulled a man from 2000 to 299. Vadim Chernobrov had spent years studying the physics of time. He believed that time was not a steady river, but a field that could be stretched or folded. His workshop was filled with metal parts, humming wires and notebooks covered in restless ideas. The heart of his research was a rotating metal ring that created tiny distortions, only fractions of seconds, enough to prove time could bend. In 1996, during a late-night experiment, the machine began to behave in ways no one expected. Light inside the chamber shifted and thickened until it looked like liquid gold. The air vibrated as if invisible strings were being plucked. Then a shimmering ripple appeared, trembling like heat above desert sand. A man stepped out of the ripple. He introduced himself as Yevgeny Gaiduchok. He said he came from the year 2299. His clothing shimmered with a metallic surface that felt warm, yet never burned to touch. Scientists later said the fabric had chemical properties unknown to modern labs. Yevgeny spoke calmly, almost sadly, as if he carried the burden of too much knowledge. He described cities powered by resonance energy that pulsed through crystalline grids. He spoke of conscious supercomputers that guided human decisions with flawless logic. He mentioned nanotechnology that could rebuild organs and slow aging. He explained how future researchers had mastered magnetic fields to manipulate the flow of time. Minutes later, Yevgeny's expression changed. He looked frightened. He whispered that others knew he had escaped. He said they would bring him back. Before anyone could stop him, another flash filled the room. The shimmer returned and swallowed him completely. If timelines can be rewritten, then the next traveler would show just how far into the future a human mind could wander. The man who lived in 2749. This story begins in 1943, during the infamous Philadelphia experiment. The USS Eldridge was wrapped in a powerful electromagnetic field meant to hide the ship from enemy radar, but the energy changed in ways no one predicted. Reality itself seemed to twist. Metal hummed like a living creature, and in the chaos, two brothers, Al and Duncan, leapt into the glowing field that swallowed them whole. Al awoke in a floating medical facility. The ceiling glowed. Machines whispered softly. An AI voice told him the year was 2137. His body lay in a bed suspended in midair. He looked through the window and saw an Earth transformed by rising oceans. Coastlines were gone. New borders had formed. Technology shaped every part of daily life. Humanity was still recovering from massive global changes, but Al did not stay there for long. Without warning, the environment dissolved into white light, and he landed in another time entirely. The year was 2749. This future held wonders that defied imagination. Cities floated high above the ground, shining like silver islands in the sky. Humans and artificial intelligence had merged into a single, unified consciousness. There were no countries, no borders, no governments. People lived in harmonious networks, guided by a planetary intelligence that understood their needs before they spoke them. Al remained in that era for nearly 2 years. He learned their science and their history. They treated him with strange warmth, as if he carried a purpose even he did not yet understand. Then, one morning, he felt a pull, like gravity made of memory. In a blink, he was back in 1943, thrown onto the deck of the Eldridge, as if he had never left. For the rest of his life, Al Bielek dedicated himself to revealing the truth. But even this forbidden machine could not predict who or what would step through the next temporal doorway. Project Globus and the Time Queen machine. In the late 1980s, stories began circulating among intelligence circles about a project that never officially existed. The whispers spoke of a secret partnership between Russia, the United States, and the United Kingdom. The name of this hidden effort was Project Globus. Only one whistleblower ever claimed to have worked inside one of its underground facilities. He insisted it was buried somewhere beneath London, guarded by layers of fake companies and sealed freight tunnels. According to him, the laboratory was a maze of strange experiments. Scientists attempted to teleport objects across sealed rooms. They fused biological material with metallic compounds to create hybrid forms that defied explanation. They worked on devices that could shift matter as easily as turning a page. But the center of the lab held something far more terrifying. It was called the Time Queen. The Time Queen was a glowing, humming construct built around fragments of an asteroid that emitted a type of radiation never recorded on Earth. The machine could open portals, but only when Earth's magnetic energy aligned in very specific patterns. When the alignment was right, the whistleblower claimed the machine sent a group of researchers to 17th century China. Their mission was to retrieve artifacts and collect temporal readings. Weeks after they vanished, a ring-style Swiss watch mysteriously appeared in a sealed Ming-era tomb. It matched the description of a watch worn by one of the Globus researchers. The whistleblower insisted that the Time Queen had limits. If the magnetic field was not perfect, the portal would twist into unstable shapes. It could lead to places no human had ever seen, or places no human should ever see. Then comes a strange story of time travel in ancient Egypt. Long before modern machines, an ancient Egyptian scribe wrote a papyrus that still puzzles historians. The document, dated to the reign of Pharaoh Thutmose III around 1450 BC, described a strange event over the desert sky. A flaming ship appeared above Egypt, shining brighter than the sun. It hovered silently as the people stared in fear. Then, figures descended from it. They were described as men who looked neither young nor old, their faces timeless and calm. Their voices sounded like gods, speaking from inside stone. The pharaoh was taken to meet them. What he saw next changed him forever. These visitors showed him visions that did not belong to his own time. He saw cities with towering pillars of light. He saw battles fought with weapons he did not recognize. He saw people wearing clothes made of glowing material. He even saw himself as a child in a moment that had not yet happened. The papyrus describes something called gates of light. These gates opened and closed like living fire and are believed by some researchers to be early descriptions of time portals. Before the skymen left, they gave the pharaoh a luminous stone. It was said to hold time within it. The stone was placed inside a golden vessel and hidden in the palace treasury. Some of the descriptions in the papyrus resemble modern technology, structures that look like skyscrapers, beams of energy similar to electric light, even devices that sound like advanced screens. A section of the papyrus is missing, believed to have been removed on purpose to protect forbidden knowledge. Our list continues with the story of the woman from the year 6000. In 1966, Chloe was a quiet Finnish economist who never expected her life to become a secret experiment. She was chosen for a strange project known only by whispers. The scientists spoke of temporal shift and electric transference. She remembered bright lights. She remembered a rising vibration that filled her body like a second heartbeat. Then the world disappeared. When she opened her eyes, she was no longer in 1966. She was standing on an Earth that felt familiar, yet completely transformed. The year was 6000. The air was unbearably hot. The heat reached 70 degrees. Yet the people there moved calmly through floating cities that glided in the sky like silver clouds. Skyscrapers grew like living trees. Their surfaces shimmered with colors that changed with the sun. These buildings were not built. They were grown. She learned that dinosaurs had been recreated more than 1500 years earlier. They roamed protected zones as symbols of what humanity had overcome and almost destroyed. The world of 6000 also relied on a strange plant called Rocklarulo. It glowed softly and stored enormous amounts of energy within its roots. Chloe claimed she had been given a piece of this root. Years later, she held it under ultraviolet light and it glowed with the same strange brilliance she remembered. Future technology amazed her and frightened her. People carried memories inside tiny chips planted behind their eyes. Nothing was private anymore. If someone wanted to know the truth, they only needed to replay a memory. Chloe was told the sun had begun shifting closer to Earth long before she arrived. Humanity had survived cycles of fire and renewal as the planet reformed itself repeatedly. She returned to her own time with warnings of destruction and rebirth. After this, we have a time traveler from Kiev. In an ordinary afternoon, a man in an old Soviet military uniform wandered through the streets of Kiev. He carried a camera from the 1940s and kept asking strangers for directions to the hotel Dnipropetrovsk. People were confused. The hotel he mentioned had not existed in that form for decades. When police approached him, he seemed lost, yet strangely calm. He spoke as if he had simply stepped out of another day in his life and into a world that had left him behind. The authorities searched for records of the hotel and found nothing that matched his descriptions. They developed the film inside his camera and were stunned. The photos showed Kiev exactly as it looked before 1954. Streetcars, bridges, store signs that no longer existed. Nothing in the images matched the modern city. Investigators searched for the woman he called his fiancée. Her name was Valentina. After several days, they found an elderly woman living quietly on the outskirts of the city. Her face matched the woman in the photos. She said she had once been engaged to a soldier who vanished during the war. She believed he had died. Yet the man who wandered Kiev insisted she had been waiting for him only moments earlier. But the next traveler would not be searching for love. He would come stumbling into our timeline, begging to save the world. The 2048 time traveler who warned of aliens. On a cold night in October 2017, police in Casper, Wyoming, arrested a man wandering near a roadblock. His name was Bryant Johnson. His speech was slurred, but his eyes were sharp. He insisted he was not drunk. He said he had just arrived from the year 2048. He told officers that someone had sent him back in time with an urgent message. Humanity was in danger. An alien invasion was coming. He said there was no way to stop it. Only preparation could save lives. Police dismissed him at first. They thought he was confused. Then he added a detail that made them pause. He said time travel would begin in 2028. The first machines would be created through cooperation between humans and visitors from another star system. According to him, these visitors gave Earth a limited form of temporal technology. They believed humanity needed a warning to avoid complete extinction. Bryant claimed the device had malfunctioned and sent him 1 year too early. He was meant to arrive in 2018. He apologized repeatedly, saying he was not supposed to appear yet and that the timeline was fragile. Officers asked how he traveled. He described a blinding flash and a violent pull. He said he felt his body separating from time itself, then suddenly landing in 2017. News outlets reported the story. Major networks documented the police statements. Some scientists analyzed his claims and suggested a chilling possibility. Perhaps Bryant had not come from our future. Perhaps he had arrived from another version of Earth where the invasion had already happened. If that was true, his warning was not madness. It was a shadow of a future that might still be approaching. And then comes timeline engineers and reality manipulation. David Wilcock's theory begins with a simple but unsettling idea. Time is not a straight road. It is a living network. It breathes. It bends. It twists into shapes that humans can barely understand. According to him, the past and the future constantly merge and separate like threads in a giant cosmic web. This means a moment can be erased. Another can be rewritten. Entire paths of human history can split and form new versions of reality. In the shadows of world governments, Wilcock claims there are scientists and intelligence groups who have learned to work with this living time. The Philadelphia Project and the Montauk experiments are often mentioned as examples. These projects were more than strange military trials. They were attempts to break the rules of time itself. If these efforts succeeded, they would allow governments to peek into alternate futures, erase unwanted outcomes, and even push humanity in a new direction. Wilcock also believes that human emotion shapes these shifting timelines. Fear can drag a timeline into chaos. Hope can pull it back towards stability. When people around the world experience déjà vu, he says it is the mind brushing against a memory from another version of time, a time shadow, a flicker of a path someone already walked before it was changed. There are also whispers of timeline guardians, beings or forces that correct dangerous changes to prevent catastrophic futures from unfolding. These guardians are said to intervene during global threats, adjusting events so humanity continues along a path that leads to survival. All of this is connected to Earth's long galactic cycle, a journey of 25,920 years that reshapes consciousness and the structure of time itself. Her warnings of fire and rebirth faded, but another time traveler would bring warnings far closer to our present. Did any of these time traveler stories change the way you see reality? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to know which one shocked you the most.